Hey, how are you? Best ever. It's so beautiful. It gets better every time. Next month, my niece will be here. Yeah, from Texas. She's staying for a week. I know. Pretty much. Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. Who wants to see me? I know. She says I'm the only one in the family who understands her. It's amazing. She's 29. Mm-hmm. A whole week? She's coming up on the train. She's really something. She's the only one that gets me, quite honestly. They're from you. I saw them Friday. It's so beautiful. Thank you. I had a feeling they were from you. It just felt like it. And these vases? My God, incredible. Oh. It's spectacular. It's so like for a conference or something. It's like so elegant and big. Presents. I know, they're just, it's like a forest. It's like a forest. I thought you were going to be playing, but I thought you were going to play while we were. Oh, okay. I thought you were playing before. Okay. So you're going to. Oh, okay. So you're going to do the first song then?
Oh, I see what you mean. That's right.
I was confused.
Okay, but because I have that right under candle lighting. Yeah.
Well, it's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
And then we'll have you do the music comes after the device.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
When I do the offer, I'm going
Am I?
to explain to people about my music dilemma and how I got you both stepped forward to help me.
Okay.
Because I was like a little bit. And David's here.
Yeah, I saw him. Bless his heart. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brother Steve. Let's give him a wonderful hand by going like this. So my dear friends, a very, very heartfelt welcome to you. Please know your presence, as we always say, is a genuine blessing. And today we have a wonderful group here. And salams, peace, namaste, shalom to all those people on the internet. And also, we want to greet all those wonderful invisible beings who, believe me, are gathered here today, not for me, but for Sally Joe, because she's being ordained today. Okay, I better stop right here. Do we have some music after this? Or? Yeah, we're going to, no, that was the music. Oh, no, I've got to ring the, by the way, the most important part is this. Yeah, the bell. Because once I ring this, you're convened and you're stuck to your seats. Unless you want to use the sanctuary of release. Okay. Okay, Dorothy, just in time. You're convened now. And so what's next?
Hello? Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. I want to, first of all, explain about the music today, because I know it's a little confusing. But, you know, Allah always throws in a few little side pitches to see how we can handle it. I had asked David Harris to be my pianist today, and he had prepared just some exquisite music, which we were enjoying hearing him practice as we were preparing. And on Friday afternoon, I got a call from him on his way home from the emergency room, and he had had a serious accident at work. And a big implement that was greasy had fallen out of his hands, and rather than let it go, he tried to catch it. And that cut his fingers. And for a pianist, that is a serious trauma. And so I immediately started my prayers of healing, and I would like for everybody to do this just for a moment, to send David, and he's right here with us today. He came. He wondered what I was going to do without him, and let me tell you, I had to scramble. Friday night, I came to chanting with Isla Ross, and I said, Isla, can you help me with the music? And then this morning, Steve Crawford came and helped with the introduction music. So where there's a need, it's always fulfilled in this community. It's just a very good example of that. But there's a need for prayer right now. So let's all offer prayers of healing to David and his hand and all of it, his whole healing energy to go his way. Thank you so much. And we will have more prayer time later. You know, I asked Jamal if I could do the ancestor opening today because I've been thinking so much about my ancestors this week and these past few weeks, and I've been calling on them for guidance and support and love and help. And I realized that this wasn't something I might have done maybe 5-10 years ago because I wasn't in the habit of practicing that. I didn't even know about that particular tradition before I came to the Interfaith Community Sanctuary and started learning about it and practicing it. So I feel very comfortable now. Whenever I need help, guidance, support, I call on my personal ancestors, particularly, well, I've always done this, my father and my mother, Harry and Ismini Gilbert, and I call on my aunts and uncles and my family members, the people who've passed away, the people I know, my grandparents who I didn't know. I call on them all and I ask them for their guidance. And I also like to think about all of my teachers, my guides, the people who have guided me even though they don't necessarily know me personally, the people, the poets, the saints, and the teachers. So I'd invite us all. I'll be quiet. I'll be mentioning these people's names in my mind, in my heart. I invite you to do the same. Call your own ancestors, teachers, people who you know and maybe do not know, and even actually all of our relations in the human, the animal, the plant, and the biological universe. Let's be quiet for a moment and invite them in to be with us today. Thank you. In this same vein, we honor our Native American friends and the people who have stewarded this land upon which we dwell, this unceded territory, which we call our own, but which is actually not our own. It belongs to the Creator. And we are residents here, and we want to be grateful residents, people who acknowledge all that has come before us, all the people who have stewarded this land and waters and the fish and the animals, and all the people who are still here today, still helping us to understand and relate to and steward our environment here in the Pacific Northwest. And I thought, as I was thinking about our Native American friends, I thought about a gentleman named Gray Wolf who I met years ago at a craft fair. I think it was up on Whidbey Island, somewhere in the area. His name is Gray Wolf. And he said to me the most wise saying that I've always remembered. He said, you know, Sally Joe, he said, I've learned that I can either have things or I can do things, he said. I prefer to do things. And I thought, wow. So, you know, I just dropped that little piece of wisdom for you. I remember that, and I think about that a lot in terms of my own life. Am I going to have things, or am I going to do things? So, and let's, again, appreciate our Native American friends and the people we know, the people we don't know, the people who have been here, and the people who will be coming after us for the next 7 generations. So, Jamal's going to lead us with our Divine Feminine offering.
Thank you so much, Sister Sally Jo. So, dear friends, let's do the Islamic spiritual Sufi tradition, or the Divine Feminine, by calling upon as it is in the Islamic tradition. First of all, honoring Maryam, that's Mary, mother of Jesus, peace be upon her, who has an entire chapter in the Quran, chapter 19. Then Asiya, the wife of the Pharaoh, because she rescued Moses from the waters. Then Khadija, the wife of the Prophet Muhammad. Then let's honor Reverend Deborah Lajmadir, who is with us today. She was the minister in the previous congregation, New Age Christian Church, and for some years she was also, we included her as also our minister. And then also, before I forget, I do want to point out Chris and Lila. They're the ones who were with the previous congregation. They're the bridge between the old and the new. Let's send them a wonderful light and love to Chris and Lila. And then lastly, I want to, of course, honor our beloved Reverend Karen Lindquist, who I know is hovering here, hovering with a lot of wonderful other beings. You can almost say, if you listen, you can hear the rustling of wings all around you. This place is busy, active with angelic rustling of wings. Okay, Maryam. Hazrati Bibi Maryam, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. And she replies, Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. Asiya. Hazrati Bibi Asiya, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. Khadija. Hazrati Bibi Khadija, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. Karen. Hazrati Bibi Karen, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Wa alaikum assalam. And becoming very still for a few moments. Thank you. And I believe some music now, am I right?
Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om 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 Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
Thank you, Sister Ayla. Thank you. So, my dear friends, let's do a few ohms, deep breath. One more. And now, praising Spirit, knowing that when we praise divinity, God doesn't become holy, we become holy. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Just the beloved women, please. beloved men. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Family all together. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Once softly. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Twice aloud. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Last time. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Thank you so much, my dear friends. As you know, today, the topic, well, some of you don't know, is mindfulness through breath. Mindfulness and breath. But of course, we must be fully mindful that today is really a day of Sally Joe's ordination. Therefore, for the first time, I'm having notes, because when I have notes, I keep it short. If I have a note here saying, short, 2 exclamation marks, keep it short, Brother Jamal. Because, you know, my favorite topic is, or my favorite, shall I say, practice is just to wander off. Because I like also to be flexible about that. Anyway, so what can I say about the topic, as brief as possible? The breath. We know it is precious. Nothing new here. I'm being trite. But, am I grateful for it? Pandemic. How precious the breath became. All over the world, countless people died because they had no access to oxygen, to ventilators. The hospital ran out of it. Then people realized how precious is this simple breath that keeps us alive. So, an insight here is, what are some blessings in my life that I take for granted? Just to raise your awareness of that in your own mind. What are some blessings in my life that I take for granted? I just came back recently from doing a retreat at Indralaya, Orcas Island. And there I met this wonderful lady, very active, very straight, and so energetic. And I was stunned to hear she is 92 years old. It made me feel like a young spring chicken. So I asked her, of course, you know, and she's been asked this many times, what is your secret? She said, yeah, I have been asked this many, many times, but let me think about it. I want to summarize, because I want to give you just one insight about my longevity. So then the day before I left, she came and said, I got it. I said, what is it? She said, I think I know why I have lived long. Besides all those other factors, genetics, you know, lifestyle, etc., etc. It's simply this, that I am authentically, genuinely grateful at every step of the way for everything in my life. At every single moment, I am grateful, 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 grateful. I know that you know this, I know this. But you know, she says, for me, this is the most valued, powerful exercise, just at every single moment to be grateful. And you know, I've been reading these books because I teach these classes on what brings joy in your life. There's a book by Oprah Winfrey and a Harvard professor, I think his name is Brooks. They say, make it a half-hour ritual. Looking at the list, maybe 3 things you have, and feeling that gratitude. And every week adding 1 or 2 more, and just feeling grateful. So we shared what are our prayers. For me, my prayer for gratitude is, oh God, favor upon favor have you bestowed upon this handful of dust. Favor upon favor have you bestowed upon this handful of dust. What is your prayer? Okay, what else about mindfulness and breath? The sages say, Jamal, you do so much to give breath, oxygen, literally and metaphorically, to your body, the food you eat, your lifestyle, the job you have to feed your body. But Jamal, what are you doing to give breath to your soul, to your spirit, to your divine spark? Prayers, meditation, nature, sunset, deepening, developing the capacity, cultivating the capacity to be compassionate, loving, forgiving, generous, gracious. All these feed the soul. I love the insight by Rumi. Jamal, flee not the invisible world. Flee not the invisible world, for it is a place of income. And this place of the visible world, this place of the visible world, a place of more or less, is a place of expenditure. Flee not the invisible world, for it is a place of income. And this visible world, a place of more or less, is a place of expenditure. So if nothing else, the sages suggest, Jamal, can you practice silence every day? Just silence. I love again the metaphor by the Sufi mystics. You know, when we are so enmeshed in the trials and tribulations of life, we're like fish out of water, thrashing and quivering, gasping for breath. We need from time to time to dive into those oceans of silence. My question to you is to ponder on, and to myself, Brother Jamal, what am I doing to give breath, life to my soul? Okay, one last one. All the teachers, let me take the Buddhist teachers, they say, Jamal, when you are mindful of your breath, that's a wonderful technique to be in the present moment, in the now. What is the problem? I am unconsciously enmeshed in flitting to a regret of the past or an anxiety about the future. Unconsciously. And this drains my energy. Thich Nhat Hanh has this wonderful saying. He says, Jamal, if you're not present, you're missing out on an appointment with life. You're missing out on an appointment with life. And he goes on to say, and that is a very serious matter. Which is why I love there's a sign, the contemporary Buddhist masters say, even in Las Vegas, they know this. How? Because there's a sign there saying, to collect your winnings, you have to be present. And the same Buddhist masters say, this is why the present is called a present. It's a gift. To be in the present moment. And we have discussed many, many times in our congregation, in our classes, what are some techniques of being in the present moment. So ask yourself, what am I doing to be in the present moment? Okay, I'm looking at the clock, looking at the paper here. Either I speak faster or I cut it short. Okay, I'll do something in between. So let me switch to, what is the life, the breath of Interfaith Community Sanctuary? What is it that makes it something which splashes in our hearts, resonates within us? I would say what is very special is we don't just talk about interfaith or debate about it. We foster a living, breathing interfaith community that practices this wonderful other insight that interfaith is not about conversion. It is about completion, becoming a more complete, developed human being. And all the religions are simply a path to a shared universal. It doesn't matter whether you have a religion, don't have a religion. And we are open and affirming. by the way, which reminds me right now of this, I love metaphors and poetry, this poetry by Rumi, which I'm sure you know. Come, come, whoever you are. Come, come, whoever you are. Oh, how does it go again? Come, come, whoever you are. It doesn't matter if you've broken your vows 100 times, 1,000 times. Lover of learning, lover of leaving. It doesn't matter who you are. Come and come again. Ours is a caravan, not of despair. Ours is a caravan of hope, of love, of compassion, of joy, of inspiration. What else about Interfaith Community Sanctuary? You know, I feel very delighted that in our sanctuary we honor the Native American tradition, not just in words. We do pay rent to the Duwamish, but we have regular classes ever since our inception. Is it not twice a week? Twice a week we have regular classes, programs in the Native American tradition. And of course, in every service we honor ancestors, divine feminine. And for this, I really want to thank again Reverend Deborah Lajmadir and Laurel, who is blessing us from the other side, and Laurel Boucher. And she's our guest speaker next Sunday, Sister Laurel Boucher. Sis Winkley. What else? Maybe just one or two more. The fact that in our community, with grace and courage, we like to confront and talk about the elephant in the room, about religion. And what are they? Exclusivity, violence in our scriptures, unequal status of women, homophobia, and apathy about social justice issues and planetary degradation. And not just to criticize, not just to demean and say this is terrible, nothing is happening, we are so angry about it, but to really, with grace, come up with creative solutions. What can we do to heal the woundings, to empower ourselves, to take action? Lastly, I would say what makes us special is we love community, but it is a community which is emerging all over the world now. And what is emerging? A community not based on tribal affiliations, I repeat, not based on tribal affiliations, having same name, same culture, same religion, same race, but based on kinship of spirit. This is happening all over the world, based on kinship of spirit. Okay, just be with that for a few moments. Okay. So then the next point I really want to make is that this breath that we have to be mindful of is the breath of mystery, is the breath that connects, is the breath that embraces joys and sorrows, is the breath of blessings, the breath that connects. Do I understand that? Life is so mysterious. But it's the breath, there's the breath that connects. Let me tell you, and I'm thinking right now, this mullah story. I love the fictional mullah. You know, he's walking on the road and he suddenly sees, as he looks up, some people on horses coming in his direction, and he gets very scared thinking there's a war going on. They're soldiers, they'll draft him in the army. So he runs to hide. He runs here, back and forth, comes to a graveyard, hides behind a tombstone. And these horsemen, they follow him, and they come to his place, and the mullah realizes these are not soldiers. They're just travelers on horseback. And the people on horseback say, "Sir, can I help you? What are you doing here? What is this thing you're doing?" Mullah says, No, you don't understand. You see, I'm testing out a very powerful, beautiful, cosmic insight. What is that? He said, it's simply this. You see, I am here because of you, and you are here because of me. Isn't that amazing, astonishing, fantastic? But think about it. What has brought us here today at Interfaith Community Sanctuary for you and for me? So I want to give a little bit of a history, very brief, looking at the time there. It's also about, I said, the breath of embracing joys and sorrows, the breath of blessings. I remember in 1991, which you have heard several times, my parents passed away. First my mother, then my father, in the space of 20 days. Probably some of the most difficult times of my life. But what is the blessing here? For the first time, I palpably felt an inner guidance. And what was the guidance? Jamal, you don't like what you're doing in your career? Do what you're really suited for, that you feel is, as Joseph Campbell would say, follow your bliss. And what was that? I want to teach classes. I want to help build community, be in community. The voice said, teach a class in your house. And then it went on to say, and I knew very few people at that time, it said, charge everyone $450. And I was shocked. I said, this for sure is the voice of the ego. I'll be lucky if everybody together pays $450. But guess what? 7 people came. Now, it's not a big deal, but to me it was a tremendous big deal. It was a miracle. Because if that class had not happened, I would not be here. I would not be enjoying this beautiful Interfaith Community Sanctuary. So I did this class, and to my utter shock, as I said, 7 people came. But the miracles go on, the blessings go on. A very young lady there said, Jamal, I've got a very good friend. When she heard about this class, she started to cry. I don't know exactly what she said. Started to cry, or she felt this inner anguish cry from within. I want to take that class also. But you know, Jamal, she's just recovering from a very serious abdominal operation. She can hardly walk. But I'll bring her over. And it goes on. And Jamal, she has a little baby. She has to bring her to class. It's a girl. She's only 3 months old. It's not her baby. It's the daughter of her sister and her partner who have to go off to work on a cruise ship. They've left the baby with her. And she'll bring the baby also. And this lady came, and guess who this lady was? Karen Lindquist. And of course, immediately we bonded. We became the best of friends. She's my dearest spiritual companion. And we created a circle of love. And because of her, we came to this beautiful place, Interfaith Community Sanctuary, which I'm so grateful that eventually it was given to us for free. But by the way, in the process of the owners of this place giving us this Interfaith Community Sanctuary, there were some troubles, difficulties for months. Both Karen and myself have invisible scars from that. Deborah helped. Chris and Lila helped. But I must mention there was Janet and Bill Bennett who really helped. Bill Bennett has passed away, so thank you, Bill Bennett. So finally, we were restored to this place, to Interfaith Community Sanctuary. For this, we are so grateful. Then let me move forward, 2001. Well, before 2001, something else happened, I should tell you. We had 2 visitations that really blessed this place. One was Sheikh J. Somebody remember Sheikh J? A wonderful Sufi master from Senegal. I think you remember Chris and Layla, Sheikh J. And he said, this place is fantastic. It's amazing. He said, I've had a vision of this place being the perfect template for what a house of worship needs to be. If you can make it happen, if you can work at it, if you can collaborate, cooperate, this can be a template for the world. He came here 6 times from Senegal. He has passed away, so I know he's blessing us today. Who's the other one? Brother Wayne Teasdale, the Catholic priest, who has been here at least 9 times, who said, Jamal, this, I'm telling you, this is the epitome of what I have been working for all my life. This is the epitome of where you can practice interspirituality. It's a remarkable place. It's a blessed place. And then, over the decades, from that door there, we've had people come, clairvoyants, they say, we are clairvoyants. I've had at least 4 or 5, maybe half a dozen times they've come. They said, I feel the energy here, feel the energy. And particularly as they come in, where do they come? Right here. Right here. They say, all we want to do is sit here and we shall be healed. They said, Jamal, if you have people who are unwell, physically, emotionally, mentally, bring them here. It turns out there's a stream underneath this place here. A wonderful flow of water. It's a very healing place. Then they go to those 2 rooms there. They said, there's so much life here. There's laughter, there is tears, there is joy, there is life. And I didn't understand what that meant until I don't know what it still means. Anyhow, one is a prayer room, one is a counseling room, or the minister's room on the other side. But about 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, going out the door, I see an elderly gentleman. At that time, I was much younger. I call him elderly. He was just looking at this place with a glassy eyes. So I said, hello, how are you? Can I help you? He said, I used to be the pastor here for 10 years. I think 10 or 15. I mean, it was a long time. He said, can I come in? I said, of course, come in. And he said, those two rooms, they had different shapes at that time. One was a room where my two sons, who became, who were pre-teenage people, sons, they lived in that room. That's the prayer room. And the other room, the last room, that was their master bedroom. So I could understand why there is so much life in that place. So just be with that for a few moments. Well, I cut my conversation short here. So maybe I'll just enter into that now. So 2001 comes. We have wonderful people who come here, I must mention. Brother Michael Douglas came. David Heitmiller. Who remembers David Heitmiller, who has passed away? Oh my God. He was in the same category of those who are so devoted, dedicated. Then 2001, Interfaith Amigos, by grace of God, how that emerged out of nowhere. And then, again, by grace of God, we got coverage in New York Times. We had a program on CBS Evening News, NPR, PBS, Public Television, National Public Television, right here did 2 programs with us. Christian Science Monitor, Christian Century. We got so much publicity, we felt elevated. In fact, when I travel sometimes, when I used to travel, I remember 2 occasions, people would sit me down and say, Jamal, how did you get into New York Times? How did you get into CBS Evening News? And the truth is, I had no idea. All I could think was, oh my God, it is the blessing of this place, blessing of our ancestors that has made this happen. So this is really a very blessed place. And now comes 2004. And who enters Interfaith Community Sanctuary? Sally Jo Gilbert de Vargas. Who is a pillar of our community, so loved by all of you, indispensable for ICS, indispensable for my ministry. Besides God, besides my family, besides Karen, who has been indispensable for ministry, it's also Sally Jo, who's been indispensable. So it is so delightful, so joyous, so sacred, so totally appropriate that we are ordaining her. I know that all those wonderful beings from the other side, especially Reverend Karen, is blessing her. But before that, let me just say a few words before I call her up. And she has said, keep it simple. We'll keep it very simple. But I do want to say that Sally Jo, in every way, is very qualified. I don't know how many of you know, she went to Harvard. She went to Boston University for undergraduate and graduate studies, so academically very, very qualified. Her family is very interfaith. In her family, you have Jews, you have Christians, if I remember, you have Hindus, you have agnostics, atheists. So you've lived a very interfaith life. And she goes deep into every spiritual book she studies, the spiritual practices she learns. She just goes deep into practicing it, feeling it, moving from knowledge of the tongue to knowledge of the heart. She started studying the Quran. And guess what? Being Sally Jo, she went deep inside the Quran. She memorized so many passages. So I'm thinking now of this wonderful scholar. I don't know if some of you remember, who I met in Japan, and then subsequently came here for other programs. I invited him to spend a few days with us. Reza Shah Kazemi. He's a very well-known scholar of Islam. And he conversed with Sally Joe, and he was so impressed. And let me put this in context. In Islam, there's a word called hafiz. You've heard the word hafiz? Hafiz means what? Hafiz means, it's actually a title in Islam. It's a very honorable title given to someone who has memorized the entire Quran. The entire Quran. There aren't that many Hafiz all over the world. So the poet Hafiz, you're familiar with the 14th century poet Hafiz? That's not his name. His name is Muhammad Shamsuddin. Why is he called Hafiz? You know him as Hafiz. I know him as Hafiz because he had memorized the entire Quran. So two people told me that they were so surprised and they wanted to connect with me, Interfaith Community Sanctuary. And I said, who are you exactly? She said, we heard a speech by Reza Shah Kazemi, who said, do you know, I went to Seattle, I went to Interfaith Community Sanctuary, I met a lady in there whose name is Sally Joe, and she was a Hafiz of the Quran in English. And we need to have more of that. So she's academically, from a spiritual perspective, she goes very deep. And so to keep it short, she has a tremendous sense of responsibility, dedication, devotion, love for ICS. How many hours she has spent here? I see the nighttime I pass by, Sally Joe's car is here, along with David, along with Karen, spending hours in the evening for Interfaith Community Sanctuary. A sense of deep humility. By the way, I love that wonderful saying, the sea is the sea because it lies lower than the rivers. Because you're humble. But most of all, I want to tell you, what really endears me to Sally Joe, and I feel so honored to be working with her, she is truly a servant of service. How many people have told me who are alive, but who are very ill, how Sally Joe went and helped them, offered them medicine, food, spent nights with them. And then the two people, before they died, not long before they died, they said, Jamal, make sure you thank Sally Joe. I am so grateful that she helped me so much. I'm thinking of Linda Jo Pim and Katayun Nafisi, who said, yes, please thank Sally Joe. They didn't know who she was. I introduced Sally Joe to her. And they were first skeptical, saying, I don't know her very well. And they ended up by saying, Jamal, that was the best gift. And I'm being very sincere and not one iota of exaggeration. That was the best gift you gave me, introducing me to Sally Joe. She has spent night after night after night with me. So having said all of that, just let's pause for a few moments. Sally Joe said, keep it very simple. So I said, I don't know how simple I can keep it, but I've got to do something. So I said, okay, let me do one thing. Let me at least put this on her. So Sally Joe, may I invite you up here? So Sally Joe, on behalf of course, myself, making you co-minister, but it's not just my choice, it's the choice of the congregation. On behalf of the congregation who are visible, and in the presence of the congregation up there or somewhere around you from the invisible world, we have such joy in placing this on you. It's a garland of celebration. So let me put it on you. By the way, before I go on, before you accept, I should tell you the downside. Many downsides, but the main one, the pay is very, very, very low, non-existent, you might say almost. But take heart, because as Rumi says, but we can hear the clinking of gold coins accumulating for you up there.
I got a big bank account.
That's right. So since we want to keep this short, I'll say simply this, that this does yoke you, Sally Joe. It yokes you to ICS. It gives you the responsibility, the joyous commitment to be in service to Interfaith Community Sanctuary, the Interfaith Service community. It yokes you to spirit and That's something you already are. You're a servant of service. You know, you're a lamp, a lifeboat, a ladder to God's creation. This yokes you to Mother Earth, where you make a commitment to love, honor, and protect Mother Earth. So I don't want to go on, but I just want you to say, I accept. Are you, like, it's like a marriage with God, marriage with ICS. You accept being a co-minister?
I do. I accept.
Wonderful. Then now you're free. Give her a hand. And now you can say a few words for as long as you want to. We have some time. I kept it short, deliberately.
Thank you, Jamal. Thank you all for being here today. And I do have a few words. I told Jamal I would keep it to 7 minutes. So you can time me on that. But I'm going to make sure I have my notes so that I don't overdo it. You know, Jamal asked me to speak briefly about what brought me here to Interfaith Community Sanctuary and what is my spiritual path, and describe my commitment to serving as co-minister of ICS. So I've been contemplating those questions. And as Jamal mentioned, I came to ICS in the fall of 2004 after hearing Jamal Rahman speak at a town hall event called Poetry and Love Songs from the Axis of Evil. That's true. That's what it was called. And he was moderating the event, and it was happening because the community was celebrating the arts and the poetry and the culture of countries who had been recently condemned by our government as the axis of evil. And that was political issues that were going on. This was the 3rd anniversary of 9/11. This was actually September 10th. I remember it because it was my daughter's birthday. And I went to town hall and I saw Jamal, and he talked. He was a moderator of the event. He didn't sing or dance or do any. He did some poetry, I'm sure. But I saw in the program that he was connected with this Interfaith Community Sanctuary. He was a co-minister and co-founder of this organization. So I had never heard of an interfaith community church before. At that time, it was called a church. But I had been to ecumenical churches, you know, non-denominational churches in college, you know, where they have non-denominational churches. But they were all Christian, different forms of Christianity. And so I wondered what that was about. So I decided to come the very next Sunday and check it out. And I've been here ever since because I found it very inspiring, very intriguing, actually. And I started learning things right away, of things I'd never heard about, things like divine feminine and honoring your ancestors, and learning about religions in like paganism. Paganism, you know, I didn't, those were things I had not really encountered. And I loved it, you know, dancing around the maypole, and it was amazing. And every Sunday brought something new and something different. And I became involved in all of it. The guiding council meetings were interesting. I became secretary. Then later I was president for a while. Then I became treasurer. And, you know, I just couldn't get away from it. And even though I never really tried to. But I will say that I was also so interested in the events we were having all over town. It was taking me to other houses of worship in the Seattle area where we were collaborating with people around other programs, and I met many, many beautiful people. Not the Interfaith Amigos, for example. We'd hold Seder dinners here and there, and we'd have different events. And then I got involved in our activities that our community was sponsoring, our social activities and the opportunities to serve. I met Judy Sanderman and her husband Dennis Wilkins, and we learned about Project Ethiopia and began supporting and working with that. I learned about the SAMC Medical Clinic in Bangladesh and the girls' school there, and my dear friends Isu and my Bengali family, and began working with them as part of our work here. I met Dr. Ed Tick and got involved in the Soldier's Heart work with people who were suffering from war trauma. And Peace Camp International sprung up. And my dear friend Gretchen Rowe brought me into the wonderful circle of love with Sister Lucy Kirian in India and Father Centurio in Uganda. So, I mean, it just kind of blows my mind how the incredible number of people that I've met who've enriched my life so much and have really helped me to become who I am in terms of my spiritual path. So what does all this have to do with a spiritual path, really? I want to back up a minute and talk about my childhood. Jamal mentioned, he knows, and some of you know this story, that I came from a multi-faith, multicultural family. My father was a Ukrainian Jew, and he was the first of his generation born in this country. My mother was a Greek Orthodox, the first of her family born in the United States. And I know how it happened, but I'm not sure quite how it happened. But they got together and got married. And this was not okay in their time. Believe me, this was very weird in their time. And what happened was it kind of broke up our family. It broke up our extended family. And what happened was, well, it was sad. It's hard for me to talk about and think about because it was painful. But I will tell you that it didn't really ruin my life or our family's life. What it did was it helped me to understand that it's absolutely ridiculous to let religion be something that's going to destroy your family and your relationships. And all of us in our family realized how absolutely unreligious that is. You know, I never really knew my grandparents because of this rift in our family. But the truth of the matter is, I got more curious about religion and about faith because my parents also taught me that they believed in trying to understand and certainly accepting all religions. Just their advice was just don't swear allegiance to any one of them. And so that's what they did. They taught us that by example, and they were the most loving, beautiful human beings. They were servants of service, if you want to talk about that. My parents both always worked for the common good of everybody. And, you know, they both, I think neither one of them believed in a personal God. They told me that. When my father used to reference God, he'd always say, Jamal's God. If I'd ask him a question he couldn't answer about the origin of the universe, and he'd say, that's a question you'll have to ask Jamal's God. So I have that on my list of things to ask Jamal's God. But because they were good friends, and Jamal, and you know, my family respected Jamal deeply. And but I will say that both my parents did believe in a universal life force and in the laws of the universe. And my sister and my daughter are here. Both knew my father well and my mother well, and they will attest to this, that the laws of the universe and the universal life force, my parents had an awe about life in that way. And I would say to myself and to them, is this not also a belief in God? So I became very curious after leaving home, becoming a teenager and leaving home and getting interested in all the different things I was reading about. And I met, when I was 18 years old, I met a spiritual teacher by the name of Kirpal Singh, who was from the Sikh tradition. And he introduced me to something called the science of spirituality, which is a profound practice of meditation, vegetarianism, self-introspection, and studying deeply the common truths in all sacred texts. He would quote from the Bible and the Quran and the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads, and he'd quote from the poets, Rumi and Hafiz and Kabir, and so many different, some people think Jamal introduced me to those folks, but when I heard Jamal quote Kabir and Rumi, it was ringing bells in my head about all the quotes I had heard from my first teacher, Kapal Singh, who I still consider a spiritual guide for me. And I still consider myself to be on the path that he set me on. Now, when I'm asked about my religious affiliation, and I'm sure some of you wonder about that, and I am asked, on those forums, you're asked on the forums, I just click other. But what I tell people when they ask me, because it is a good question, I always say, I consider myself a lover of God and a seeker of truth. I have followed my parents' lead in not swearing allegiance to any one religion, or especially organized religion. My ultimate spiritual goal is to find and maintain a deep connection to divinity as it is expressed in the universe, in everyone around me, in myself, in all of God's creation. I have come to realize that I can only know and understand God, and I put that in quotes there, to the extent that I can answer the question, who am I really? Who am I really? Jamal used to ask that question at the beginning of each of his classes. Do you remember? Whenever I ask that question or hear that question, this is what happens. Who am I really? Brother Jamal has really helped me explore that question over these years, and I have to say, the exploration continues, okay? The exploration continues, and I'm deeply grateful because this sanctuary and the people in it and all of you who have contributed to my learning, my understanding, and my exploration have helped me to explore that. Now, being called as co-minister to Interfaith Community Sanctuary, this is an awesome prospect. And I will admit, and my closest friends know, it is daunting. I do not take this lightly. Nor do I really feel that I know or understand what I'm signing up for. But I feel certain and I know that all of you will help me and support me on this journey. Look what happened today when poor David hurt his fingers and couldn't play his beautiful music. 2 people stepped up within 30 minutes, within less time than you can imagine, to help fill that need. And I know that over the years, this community has been thoughtful, welcoming, inclusive, respectful, helpful. All of us work together as we travel on our path. And I do aspire to continue to learn more and more. Most of you know I was a teacher in my career, and I'm still teaching and I'm learning, and all teachers know that they're never finished learning. So I'm learning to reach across boundaries and find common ground with others, to avoid making assumptions about others. I try to stay connected to our higher purpose, and as I learn, I aspire to live what I have learned. That's not easy. But hopefully we help each other. We teach and we spread our learning through example rather than precept. Every single person I have met in my life, and many of them in this, since coming to Seattle, I have met here in this sanctuary, every single person has taught me something important. And every experience has something important to offer me. I pray that I gain a deeper understanding of how I can help this community grow and prosper, and also how we can support each other to explore and discover our own spiritual path, and to serve the larger community around us. So this is a challenging world we're living in. It always has been, I imagine. I thank you for entrusting me with this office right now. I'm deeply grateful for your prayers and your well wishes, and I promise to do my very best to be worthy of your trust and your support. Thank you. But I have to quote the Quran, right? Because a Quranic quote, a Quranic quote always comes to me at the most important moments of my life. So this is the one that came to me yesterday when I was thinking, about how am I going to end this thing, right? Well, this is from Surah 5, verse 35 from the Holy Quran. In the name of God, the infinitely compassionate, most merciful. This is rendered into English by Camille Helminski. Oh, you who have attained to faith, remain conscious of God. Seek to come closer to God and strive hard in God's cause so that you might attain felicity. Thank you.
Sally Jo, that's a wonderful way to end your sermon. I don't end my sermons that way. I look around when somebody starts to snore or nod down. I go, time to stop, Brother Jamal. That's great, wonderful. Okay, my friends, now comes a time where, what I should tell you, in this place here, I've done well over a few hundred weddings. And in every wedding, the best part is when I ask, is there something you want to say from either side of the aisle? A prayer, a piece of wisdom, so anything heartfelt. And the ones that really stand out most memorable are the ones that are spontaneous, not prepared. So I'll give you just half a minute. Okay, 45 seconds. What is it you want to say to Sally Jo, about Sally Jo? But take your time, I'll be quiet now. Okay, I saw one hand go up here. Katie, this is yours, I think. You can come up here if you like.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, Sally Jo. I've been thinking about what I wanted to say. I've known I wanted to say something to mark the moment. And the other day when I was speaking with you and Jamal, you said no crowns, and I totally get that. But what happened is that last night I had this whole idea of what I was going to say to you, and then I was walking by my front porch and noticed all the willow branches that I had laid out there, and knew that I would do something very important with them, but hadn't figured out what that was yet, and it's been a while. And I had collected them, I guess it was in the spring. Anyway, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to make a crown. Against your wishes. But there's a reason that I made this for you. And the reason is that what the willow tree means to me, or what I've come to understand of it, is that a willow has deep, deep roots. And to hear Jamal speaking today, I thought, oh yes, I was really getting some divine guidance when this idea came. A willow has deep, deep roots, and it finds the water. Yes. It finds the water, the ancient water, and the sacred blessings that come from the water in these sacred spaces. So Sally Jo, this is a crown that I hope will symbolize the deep roots that you spoke of too, the deep roots, the knowing. The other thing about willow is that willow is a tree that brings the energy of reconnecting with yourself and with your passions, breaking down our own personal boundaries and living more freely. And when I heard you speaking, I heard you talking about this commitment to knowing yourself, and that part of what you do here is you explore different ways of knowing yourself. And anyway, so I hope that speaks to that too. The other thing about willow is that its branches are always transmitting, the energy of the divine, but they also slope back down. and they embrace, hopefully us, this community. And I almost imagine, Mother Ginger from the Nutcracker with the big skirt and all the children running out. Anyway, so for these reasons, and there's more, there's the empowerment that comes from the flexibility and the adaptability of Willow to weather the storms, to bend with the storms and become stronger through them. So for these reasons, and there are more, I'm just forgetting them. But oh yeah, you don't have to, but
I will say that the first house I ever owned here, that I ever owned, it was here in the Seattle area in Gig Harbor. No, it was in Port Orchard. And it had a beautiful willow tree in the front that I just loved. And sometimes I drive by it when I'm out in that area to see if the tree is still there, and it is. And I do love the willow tree. So thank you so much.
I'm so glad.
That was a perfect.
Congratulations.
All right.
It looks very witchy.
Well, I'm going to have to grow into this.
Thank you so much, Katie. Anybody else? Oh, sorry, Judy.
Mine is a very simple but profound thing I learned from Sally Joe. When I think of Sally Joe, I always think, as Jamal gives us the quote that ends with, "I slept, and when I awoke, I realized service is joy." And Sally Joe has always been so helpful and eager to do anything that will help out. So I thank you for that. And once I was talking to her about how she stays happy and positive and everything, and she says that growing up, if she was a little bit downcast, her mother would say, "Well, Sally Joe, who have you helped today?" And that's how she always changed into a happy being again. So thank you, because that I think of your mother whenever I'm thinking, what should I do? What can I do?
That was my mother.
Yeah. So thank you and congratulations and welcome. My goodness.
Brother Max. You want to come up here?
Sally Joe, I just want to learn to be like you.
Be careful what you ask for.
Thank you so much, Brother Max.
Okay. Sally Joe, I know Sally Joe because I go to George's Sit in Silence. And I went to a talk that Liz Gilbert gave, and other people have heard me tell this story because it was a big moment. And after her talk, she was asked a question. I don't remember the question. I only remember the answer. And she said, "I thought I was here to be a writer, but I'm here because I realize I'm to be the love in the room." And that's what you are. You are the love in the room. And I don't know why I come to this church twice a week usually, but I don't come to services. And that ends now. I'm coming to services.
A person of great taste, Do I see any other hands go up? Was it? Who was it? Oh, Anne, sorry, excuse me.
I wasn't going to say anything today, but when you spoke about the willow tree, I grew up on a property on the other coast, the right coast, the left, as opposed to the left coast, not the wrong coast. And I had two younger sisters, and we had a pond, and next to the pond were these two weeping willow trees, which I had a number of favorite places in that place. And But the weeping willow trees were really special to me and to my sisters. We had a canoe, and we would launch the canoe we go out through between the weeping willow trees. We would pretend we were explorers, and we would, whoever was sitting in the front would we would pretend we were like in a jungle, and we were going out into the unknown, and then we get out into what we call the lake. It was really a pond. And we get out there, and it was like this whole new world. And we do it over and over and over again. And I just thought of that when you were talking about the other qualities of the willow, and that connection came to me. I thought, and this place, probably no one could have imagined, the new things that would come about because of what started as this little tiny circle of people. And it still isn't, a mega thing, but it is a mega thing because its influence is worldwide. But it starts with this heart, this heart here. And, as already has been said, you would just dove into the heart of this place as soon as you got here. And that's how it works. That's how it works. And so I'm so grateful to the one, to that big whoever, whatever, for you and for you in this moment.
Thank you so much, Sister Bahia. Sister Gretchen.
Hello, everybody. I have to say, a lot of things that Sally Jo does, her ministerial things, aren't seen. And my personal story is that when I got my cancer diagnosis, she came to my first appointment with my former husband, and I knew that I needed her there to stabilize the situation. I wanted both of them there, but I knew I needed her there to stabilize everything. And while the doctor was telling me, he was reading the CAT scan report. It's not funny, but it is. We can laugh at it. It is funny and not funny. So the doctor is reading the report. Sally Jo is taking copious notes. Anybody who's been in a meeting with Sally Jo knows that she takes notes. She's taking copious notes. The doctor's reading the reading the report about multiple lesions in my liver, and my former husband's going, "Oh." And the next line is read, "Oh." And I was sitting there thinking, I'm so glad Sally Jo is here to balance. But not only did she do that, but I knew that we needed a neutral person for our family meeting with our kids. Bryce is here, one of our sons. So when we had our family dinner to give the initial CAT scan results, she was there. And Emerson, our younger son, said, "I'm just glad Sally Jo is here." And then when I went to the doctor, Susan went with me and took the copious notes. I don't know where Susan went. Oh, there you are. took the copious notes from the oncologist. Sally Jo then came to dinner. Well, actually, I shouldn't say she came to dinner. She made dinner. She came over to our house, made dinner for our whole family, and was there while I told everybody what the results from the oncologist was. And these are the things that Sally Jo does that aren't seen, and I don't know where she gets the energy. She's got a lot of energy, but she's just there in the times that are really, for I think most people, very difficult to be there. And she's there and does whatever needs to be done. And so I wanted to say that because you don't see that here, but that work of ministry is there. So thank you. Our family thanks you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. We are certainly a blessed community today, and I'm so glad to have known this lady. And I consider this place a family for me, and I consider Sally Jo my spiritual sister among many other folks here. And I know that many times I'm a bus rider. I try to come here a little bit early, maybe sweep, whatever. But more often than not, Sally Jo has been here before I got here and will stay long after I've left and gone off to do whatever else I do on a Sunday. But to have her not just know the Quran as well as she does and be able to bring those insights, to be able to take part in the celebrations, as she mentioned, dancing around the maypole with us and not be like, well, that's something else that you can do. She was always a glad participant, and I'm always blessed to have her be a part of our community. So I'm glad to be able to witness this today, and thank you for all that you've done so far, and we look forward to many years together of that. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Chris. Oh, no, it's okay, it's okay. Food for the soul.
You have to endure this. I'm sorry. So I've been a member here for a long time, and Sally Jo and I have interacted many times, and behind the scenes, out here, some serious things, other things lighthearted and silly. And there are three things that describe all of my interactions with her, things that are very dear to me. One, Sally Jo is respectful, she is kind, and she is loving. And every time I've interacted with her, those things have been there, and they're so important. Because, you can see the big things, but it's over the arc of time, over the interaction, over and over and over, when the true character of the person comes out, and it's just a shining light.
In case you don't know, this is my sister, Aisu, Dr. Aisu Rahman.
Hi, everyone. Sally, I wanted to say Mubarak. Congratulations. I won't say very much because I think everyone who's here, if we went to see it, talk about what you are to them and your qualities, we'd probably take a few days, This wouldn't be enough. And I've been thinking, what is it in Sally that, whether it's someone in Bangladesh or here or a stranger, I think when we are talking to someone, you are looking at them, not the physical part, but you go right to the soul, And I've heard my brother Jamal say that all our souls are pure. And so I think Sally, more than any person that I know, she will look at you, at your soul. She won't look at you. And so that's how she interacts, and she sees the best and the pure and the innocent in us. So thank you, Sally, for everything. And you are very special, so special to our family and to everyone. And we are giving you that congratulations from the SMC family, the patients, all those that you're touching, and my family. Thank you.
Was it any? This is my niece, Choitali.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous, but sorry. So I met Sally Auntie. Actually, she was the superintendent when I was in middle school at Whitman. And I had just moved here from Bangladesh, and I didn't have any friends. So during lunchtime, when I didn't have anywhere to go, I would go to the library, or I would go hang out with Sally Auntie. She was pretty much the first person, and I think that's how she got introduced to our family. And even back then, I remembered for somebody who didn't have any friends, how kind she was to me and kind of made me feel very much welcome when I didn't, when I first moved here. And then after that, after we introduced her to the family, how important that she became. She's such a big part of my childhood. She's always going to be family to me no matter what. So everything that you've done for me and my family, I'm so grateful. And it's such a proud moment for me to see and being able to be here for this. So thank you.
Thank you. Going. Yeah, okay. So I tell you what, let's have the music, let that be the meditation, and during the music, Sally Jo, let's do the offertory.
Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah 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 Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah 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 Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah 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 Shivaya, Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya.
Wow, Ayla, that was absolutely celestial. Thank you so much. My friends, beg your pardon? What is it? Oh, yeah.
Now you'll hear me. Om Namah Shivaya contains all the elements in existence.
Say it again.
Contains all the elements. There's
Yeah.
seed sounds for all the elements, and
Yeah, it's actually praising, the divinity. Nama is name, and Om is the primordial sound of the universe. So it's really about, through sound, through every part of your senses, praising
Yes.
divinity.
and it's they're such.
And knowing that
beautiful-
God doesn't become holy, we
Yeah.
become holy.
Yes, it's also I love the meaning. I bow to the doer of good.
To what?
I bow to the doer of good.
Yeah. Namaste. Yeah. Om Namah. So my friends, thank you for the question. Before we're coming to a close now, you have a prayer you want to offer before we have announcements and we bring it to a close.
Yes, thank you. I do have a special prayer to offer today. Later this afternoon, I will be going to bid farewell to a dear friend of our community, one of the many, many people I have met here whose work has inspired me and so many of us so deeply. Trudy James, who most of you know, she's been a speaker here. She's a member of our community. She's spoken in our community many times, and she's taught many classes. She started an organization called Speaking of Dying, and she helped many, many of us begin the process of preparing for our own death in a way that would be wonderful and fruitful and beautiful for our families and for ourselves.
And a documentary she made.
And she made a documentary movie about that, and she's had classes all over the United States. I met Trudy as part of Multi-Faith AIDS Project, which I was a part of in my early time in this organization. I got involved because it was multi-faith, and I worked with Trudy. I was trained with Trudy, and then had many different AIDS partners, people, aid teams that I worked on to help support people with AIDS, and Trudy was my teacher during that time. Trudy is preparing to pass on the other side and to go into the mysterious realms. And she has, of anybody I've ever known personally in my life, she is well prepared for this journey. She is deeply prepared for this journey. And we, her people who love her so much, are trying to prepare ourselves for her journey. And I will be going to her today. I know if I weren't going to her and she weren't preparing for her journey, she would be here today. So she is definitely here today. And I want to take to her the love and the beauty and the wonderful inspiration that I'm feeling today. So I wanted to speak to her and about her and bring her into this community and bring us to her bedside today when I go to see her. And I know she will receive us all with great beauty and grace and gratitude. And I just thank you for helping me witness that and coming with me today as I visit her, because I will be thinking of all of us being there and surrounding her with our love and our gratitude and just basically our gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sergio. Maybe just for a few seconds, let's close our eyes, and in any way that you deem is the best way for you, please send light and love to Trudy James as she so graciously, gracefully, lovingly is making a transition into those mysterious realms. Thank you. And to bring this to a close, I have the last minute asked Brother George just to say a few words about our upcoming events.
Okay. So while I may make this sound mundane, it is not. But we have upcoming gatherings, and I think especially as we follow up on sharing our wealth, is to point out that we have a wealth of knowledge and experience in this community that people are willing to share. And as a result of that, almost every day of the week we have a gathering or some kind of an offering here that you can participate in. It's all available online. Chiaki's done a terrific job excuse me, of keeping it updated. If you want to be on our mailing list to ensure that you get updated, just go onto our website and you can subscribe to it. So check it out, look at it. A lot of people are giving their loving selves and their time and their hearts to these different things. Participate where and when you can, and I'm sure you'll benefit from it. Thank you.
I just want to say also, Brother George is a president of our board, and he's really one of the pillars of our community. Thank you, George.
And he knows how to keep me and Jamal silent on Thursday evenings from 7 to 7:30. It really happens. Come and join us and witness it. But in the meantime, Jamal is starting a new class on October 19th, Saturday mornings, 6 weeks from October 19th to November 23rd, living a spiritual life in a mundane world. Do you ever wonder how you could do that? Well, Jamal's going to help us with that. And it's on Zoom. We have people from all over the country joining us. We have someone from England joining us this time, I think. I hope the time will work for him. And we'd love to have you join us. Let me know if you're interested. There are flyers here that Barsha made. Is Barsha here? I didn't see Barsha. Oh, right. Sakif. Oh, we should send prayers to him. Anyway, so, Barsha's made this beautiful flyer, and so help yourself to one if you would like the details, and we would love for you to join us. And, you never know what might happen when you start asking yourself, who am I really?
My dear friends, here's the good news. It's coming to an end now. So maybe we'll just do a prayer. Sally Jo, why don't you stand here? And may the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide with you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. But don't go yet. You're still convened, not unconvened yet. But we want to say goodbye to those wonderful people on cyberspace. Goodbye, salam, shalom, sayonara, bye-bye. Oh, yeah, and yeah. Do you want to do that about the ancestors?
We are releasing our ancestors to go about their work in the invisible world, and we thank them for being here, and we honor them, and we appreciate their guidance. And there is a lot of food downstairs, so I know it's late, you're going to run off, but it's lunchtime, so don't run off to lunch. Come down and join us, and there's food and drink for everybody.
Wonderful. That's where the real service starts, and now, lucky for you, you're going to be unconvened. You can move now after this.